set free's back. Wait's over, same Christ, new crew, makeover. The devil had his turn, game over. Now what we gon' do is take over. Ain't nothing stopping us, ain't nothing stopping us. Take over, ain't nothing stopping us. The takeover. MR, MJ, GM of the team, but I still...
In the 80s, probably about 85 is when Paul and Jan Crouch and TBN came into my life. And so I got to hear about this Tim Storey and then Carlton Pearson, ORU, the university. So I was hearing about Tim Storey. Didn't know him personally, you know.
The first I'd heard of Phil Aguilar and heard of you is, I used to help the power team. John Jacobs and the power team, John and I went to college together in 1980 in Lakeland, Florida, Southeastern College. And so the power team started doing things with TBN.
Right.
TBN was doing things with Phil Aguilar and Set Free. So that's when I first started hearing about you. And then when I started breaking out on my own, as you say, with different people like Carlton Pearson and Benny Hinn or Roberts University, you were like of the other tribe. I was like hanging in the Prudy Boy camp.
Right.
And you were with the Crusaders, right?
We were on the streets,
Yeah, you were on the streets, you were doing it, Soldiers for Jesus, out there with all those kind of guys, getting it done, rolling up your sleeves, getting your hands dirty.
Right. You know, what a trip it is. It's interesting because John, when he came into our lives, like I says, you know, we teamed up together because I had hip-hop music groups go on and radical choirs go on, and they knew we hit the streets all the time. We'd take over 1,000 people evangelizing the streets, and we went into all the inner city neighborhoods. It didn't matter. We went everywhere. And so we teamed up with John and his wife, Ruth Ann, I think was his name. And then we got together on TBN. He had ended up being the guy to interview me. And you know how he is. He'd hype you up, get out there, the greatest guy in the world. He'd get out there. But I realized we became a good team. And so the big night for us was on TBN, you know, at Angela's Temple back in the day, where they were there. And that's when Isaiah Robertson was with us, because the Rams football camp was in Anaheim, back when the Rams were in Anaheim. So a lot of their football players who got on drugs came into my program. And at that time, I had like almost 400 people living in our homes.
That's amazing.
We had at least 30 homes at the time. And Isaiah, he's used to being a superstar, so he was a little bit different than a lot of our clients or people that were there in the program. But everybody loved him because he has stories.
Yeah, Isaiah Robertson, 6-time All-Pro. He had been my friend since I was 15 years of age. I'm watching from Texarkana, Arkansas, where I was there speaking at a church. I'm watching live TBN. There's Phil Aguilar, Set Free, John Jacobs and the power team, Jan Crouch, and runs up Isaiah Robertson, okay? So I had known him at his height. I mean, the guy, you know, he was a multimillionaire, phenomenal player. Now he ends up in the Set Free home. See, that's one thing I always liked about you, is because while we were being pretty, hanging out in green rooms, drinking cappuccinos and cranberry juice, you were really busting your butt, getting it down and dirty, and helping people out. So what did you think about guys like us?
Well, you know, let me tell you, I was just feeding people, doing the homeless, taking people, and just discipling people. I didn't really know too much about the TBN type of ministry until Paul and Jan came to my place, and they said, we want to help you out. What can we do for you? And I go, I don't know. I mean, I just take people in, feed people. If you want to help with housing. So they gave us a big old house, you know, and then they invited me to go on TBN. And when I started watching TBN, there was a lot of pompadours, big hairdos. Another guy named McDuff had like a big white afro. And Billie Jean Robinson, and all these old timers. And I was like a younger guy, about 40 years old at the time. And so I go, this is a weird, strange crowd, but they're really nice people. So when I went on TV there, mothers, grandmothers from all over the country started saying, man, can you help my son?
Which was amazing and kind of shocking, because you were like a James Dean of religion. Okay?
Kind of a bad boy.
You were a bad boy. And so to see you go from that into the mainstream, really, in my opinion, you blazed the trail. Because, see, Nicky Cruz did it in a whole different kind of way, right? Where he had been a gang member and that kind of thing, and drew certain people into the mainstream. But for you to be tatted up, riding motorcycles still, it's not like I used to ride motorcycles, you were still riding motorcycles, right? That had never been, had ever happened, and you really brought kind of a bad boy, good boy, because seemed like a bad boy, but you're a good boy, kind of stream into religion.
Well, that's why even to this day I consider myself a ghetto king and a black sheep for Jesus, because that flavor, that's just my life. You know, when Christ saves us, he keeps our personality though, you know? And so I still like a little shock therapy when I go places. I either roll in with a group of motorcycle people or a group of my friends who are all tattered up and looking wild. A little attention, but that gives us opportunity. It's bait, I always tell people. Like I said, Jesus said, follow me and I'll make you to become fishers of men. So if we're fishing for men, we need some kind of bait, some kind of attraction, so we know they're there. And hey, they ask us that question, what are you guys all about? Glad you asked. But getting back with the power team and all that stuff, it was fun getting to travel with them, getting to do music, everything like that. But the TBN thing, it was really weird because Jan started really loving what we did. So she had this ranch in Colleyville, Texas. Says, can you help bring a bunch of homeless, drug addict kids to our ranch? She loved the down and out people. She used to have to, she says, man, I got to deal with all this fancy preachers and stuff like that. But she was just down home, a little barbecue, get with the kids, playing with the animals. You know, first time she told all of our kids in the ranch, I want to take you to the Passion Play. They're going, Passion Play? What's that? Is that about sex? You know, because they never heard of it. These kids have never any part of it, like I says. But I've just always loved living with the people, being with the people. Even when I pioneered the Dream Center, Tommy and Matthew Barnett, where do you want your office? I go, folding table right in the parking lot. That's just always been my lane where God has me. And I was a biker before I met Jesus, so it just made sense. I didn't start a biker ministry to be some cool Christian motorcycle ministry. I'm just a Christian now, but I'm riding a motorcycle. A bunch of guys got together and went, hey, let's give it a name. We were back at the Arsenio Hall days, so in our crowd, we had the MC Hammer type music. We got the lyrics saved, changed them around. We got dance crew, got 100 girls dancing, young teenagers down there in the ministry. My sons are doing hip hop, rapping. People loved all that kind of stuff. So hundreds of young people are coming to know the Lord because they heard their kind of music, doing their thing. The Arsenio Hall thing was going on, so there was a lot of whoop, whoop, whoop in the audience. Instead of amen, hallelujah, brother, it was a lot of those
the
things
dog
like
pound.
That. Yeah, the dog pound.
And the thing is that I remember going to Word of Life Hawaii, our friend Art Sepulveda, and seeing the dance team, and then Art saying to me, we got this from Phil Aguilar. They came and trained us. So you started training people literally that went all over the world from the 80s and the 90s. So what you did in Anaheim literally went all over the world.
Oh, it was a byproduct. It wasn't even a plan. People come and say, what's your agenda? I go, I don't have an agenda. I open up my office every Sunday to see who's going to be there. People were saving seats on a Saturday night for Sunday morning. It was overflow.
But when you were riding the wave of being Phil Aguilar back then, did you realize it was really happening? Like a lot of people that do well in life, while they're riding that wave, they don't realize they're riding the wave that big. Did you realize your impact was that big?
No. I tell you, I was still, this is to God, this is unreal. And then like people like Lonnie Frisbee, who've been part of big movements.
Yeah, amazing.
He goes, this is the new Jesus people movement. I go, because we're like in a real warehouse, but I mean, like I said, it's a warehouse with holes in the roof, no air conditioning, heating system.
Yeah.
Used folding chairs. I mean, it was primitive.
Yes.
We were in the worst neighborhood. Against all these church growth building books, it was truly a God's thing, a Noah's Ark church where you got a biker next to a businessman, next to a banker, next to the butcher. It was just like that, but God did it. The trouble started happening when I started thinking, I'm the one that had something to do with all this stuff. that's when the trouble happened. No, I was riding that wave, and it was amazing. I couldn't believe it. Like I said, the Lord was just doing it. Invitation to speak everywhere. People were moving to our neighborhood. People were all wanting to get involved. And a byproduct was that people, hey, can I start a set free in Montana? Can I start a set free in Kansas? I mean, I didn't plan some church planning strategy. I didn't even know there was a church planning strategy. It's just a byproduct. I had more than enough going in my life, so I tell people, yeah, I bless you, hey, go on out there. But I wasn't like a pope going to try to control them. Go out and do it. Just take the little message. Go where pizza man don't deliver.
I love to study revivals. You know, I did a documentary on the Azusa Street revival, 1906, 1909. A revival is where people get restored, where they get resurrected. It's a movement. That's what happened in Set Free.
Yeah.
They got restored, they got revived. It was a movement. But a movement that a lot of people think petered out at times when you had your challenges, but I think it didn't. I think that even though you got challenged, or some of your leaders got challenged, by the grace of God, people kept moving the Set Free way.
Yes.
See, that's where people are so short-sighted that they'll look at the challenges of a man or a woman and they'll say, well, that's when it stopped. It didn't stop. Mm-hmm. Probably every day of your life, somebody reaches out to you in one form or fashion saying, thank you for what you did. Is this the truth?
Oh, every single day. The harvest, you see it. Just yesterday, like I said, I took the kids out in the street. As soon as we walked out through this little carnival, this guy comes up to me. He goes, that man, Pastor Phil, saved my life. Black fellow. Then I go to sit down over there, listen to a little music, and this lady comes over. This is Pastor Phil. I was in the ministry. I went to Israel with him.
Yeah.
He changed my life on there. You're absolutely right. It's unreal how it works. It never stops, you know.
The idea of revival and what happened through Set Free is such a contagious thing that when I walk in your homes today, because now you have these homes with young people, there's a spirit of revival there. When you guys are out witnessing, there's a spirit of revival. I went and spoke for you in Burbank.
Yes.
What was there? Spirit of revival.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you keep the spirit of revival going on in you?
Wow. When I felt like my tank was empty, I kind of felt like King David when he decided, I'm not going out to battle where I should be. I'm not going out to war. I'm bored.
Yeah.
What am I going to do next? And of course, he got himself in some Bathsheba kind of trouble.
Yes.
I was mad at God for about 4 months, tried to hide from God, tried to run from God. There I was at Venice Beach, and there's somebody knocking on the door. Pastor Phil, is that you in there?
Wow.
Can you come out and pray for me? God filled me up again because, you know, that physical memory, muscle memory we get when we start to work out again comes back quick. That spiritual memory comes back quick. So before you know it, I was back in the pulpit, ministering, serving, front door, back door, side door. And so what happened just about 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, you were ministering to Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
So I saw on TV and all this kind of stuff, and I go, man, I like that Dog the Bounty Hunter. He reminds me a lot of myself.
Yeah.
I saw him smoking a cigarette. I saw him cussing a little bit, but I saw him sharing Jesus all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going, man, Tim's taking time with this guy. So our friend, John Gibson, music man, who's had his struggles, you know, but he came to live with me and says, hey, I want you to come and hear Tim and Dog. So my son MJ and I drove down to San Diego almost 5 years ago. You guys were speaking, you were there. I got your book. I gave you one of my books. We were able to talk and stuff like that. I was moved again. I got stirred again like I hadn't been for a long time, you know. In other words, of course, I love God. Everything was going good, but it wasn't going great. It was just okay. So you invited me to the Hollywood study. I went to the Hollywood study just to sit in the back and receive. And the coolest thing that you don't even know probably like you did is when you speak to people, see, you don't just speak to young people or people like this or like that. You speak to every crowd of people. And I was one who a lot of, even my own kids say, Dad, it's time for you to retire, Dad. Time for you to kick back, Dad. But you spoke life into me like I'm a new high school kid again on fire for Jesus. And I started receiving that, my wife and I, and we just go back home for a month, wait for that next month, come back there, sit there, you know. And then every once in a while you'd mention my name and I'm going, whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
He knows that I'm here. How special, because we all want to be needed, loved, and encouraged. And it just went on and on, got built up to where, man, I got back in the ministry, doing it in my treatment center homes.
So even though I may have had a Robert Downey there or a Smokey Robinson, whoever comes to my Bible study, Phil Aguilar to me is as great a champion as somebody who did great music like Smokey.
Oh,
what you did in Kingdom, the price you had to pay, people will never understand. Because what happens is that there's such a loneliness to what we do.
Yeah.
See, it takes one to know one.
Oh, yeah. Dreamers know dreamers. That loneliness, you're right.
But the price and the loneliness of what we did. And so, you know, a lot of people can look at guys that do well like you, whether male or female, and see some sort of a downfall. But they don't understand what was coming at you.
Yeah.
What came at them is different than what came at you.
Yeah.
Right?
So true. One last thing on this one is I can remember thousands of people service, and I lived in a house right across the street from the church facility. And after 3 or 4 hours after church, saying goodbye to people, praying with people, and I tell people, then I walked across the street by myself. I mean, that loneliness, that feeling, and not realizing, I go, hey, it's the first time I've ever pastored a church too. I mean, stuff coming. I didn't even know who to talk to, because the Victory Outreach people who were street people, they thought I was crazy.
Oh yeah.
You know, the Teen Challenge people who were working with that, they thought we were too radical. So we were definitely 1%ers, black sheep at the time. But hey, like I said, that's how I got restored. Going back to Tim Storey, Hollywood Bible Study.
Yeah.
And then when I heard you were starting a church, matter of fact, was in this house.
Oh yeah.
At the first church meeting. And all of my kids, I have a bunch of grown kids, been in the ministry years. I've been with Benny Hinn and all the boys, stuff like that. They've never seen their dad, you know, be touched and go down.
Yeah.
Slain in the spirit, fall on the floor, whatever you want to call it. They never saw it.
Yeah.
My son Chill was here that night, Skeptical Chill, and he was here that night. And you called me forward for prayer, a group of about 50 people here.
Yeah.
And that night, I got hit by the power of God and my son. And then I had a video, I put it on Facebook and all that stuff. And people who didn't know me, they go, you got it.
Wow.
You went down? You don't.
Yeah.
We used to call them CDs, courtesy drops. I go, I don't do a courtesy drop for anybody. I'm real.
Oh, yeah.
That night, I got hit there, and I go, man, that's God.
Yeah.
That's God. Humbling, all this wonderful stuff it was. And so that night changed my life. And just every once in a while, just even hearing that you remember I'm there means the world. It means more than people could imagine. That's why I try to make sure to do that with other people, because it's just love. It's just a little taste of love, a little personal love.
Yeah.
And that's,
you know, I think that part of learning from each other is to be dialed in. And I feel like we learn from each other. And part of it is we're dialed in. We are from the same tribe, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that my voice in your life, you needed it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys would try to coach you in ways that you shouldn't be coached. It's like trying to get a fighter to change his entire style. Like, you know, Marvin Hagler had his style. A Sugar Ray Leonard had his style. Don't try to change Phil Aguilar's style.
No.
Right? Let him fight in the Phil Aguilar style, but just encourage him and back him in that style and watch him manifest into new ways.
And that's what you've let me do. I'm just myself. I get to come there. I love coming after the foreplay of greeting and talking to people, to sit down and to receive.
Yeah.
To sing songs, to laugh deep from within, to cry deeply, to be encouraged, to be challenged, overflowing physically, everything going.
So you're still a disciple and you're still a learner, right?
Yes.
You still like learning.
I'm hungry
Why do you like learning?
Oh man, I just realized if you don't stay hungry, you know, you get lazy, you hit that plateau, then you go backwards, you regress. No, this one, hey, it ain't how I started, but it's how I'm going to finish. And these last years now are better than ever. And every single, my wife feels exactly the same way I do. We love it. We get up, we go hungry, ready. We're ready. And I'm telling you, because we're hungry, we get fed to overflowing, and we got enough to share with people all week long till the next meeting. till the next meeting. It's just part of our life now.
One of the things I admire about you is how you handle your family. Is that, see, people don't know that side of you. That even while you were in the 80s and the 90s and you were running everywhere, you still cared about your family. And I know that all of us have shortcomings in that area, and we've all grown. But I see the seeds now, in talking to your daughter the other day, Trina, and seeing the affinity and love that she has for you, and talking to your boys, the love that they have for you, and now your grandkids, because we can kill our giants, we can kill our lions and the bears, but unless we have that family that we have poured into, we're missing something. So out of all the giants you've killed, the lions and the bears, because that's what David said, I've killed some lions, some bears, and some giants. I like that you are a man who loves his family. That's something I sit back and I watch you dealing with people. Tim, I got to get going. I got to take my grandkids somewhere. So, you are in the Hall of Fame of faith. If they rewrote a new Hebrews 11, you would be there with the greats of faith, guys that have shaken it, from William Seymour to A. Allen to Jack Coe to Catherine Kuhlman to Billy Graham to Joel Osteen. In my book, 75 countries of the world, knowing the body of Christ like a lot of people do not know it, you would be in the new Hebrews 11. But I admire that, but I admire the family man in you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ain't nothing stopping us. 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 The takeover. Yeah, it's only just begun.